Welcome to your best bets, President's Cup week. This week we have a lot to preview there, especially if you're interested in just a U.S. domination forthcoming, which I expect we'll be talking about come next Sunday night. We'll try to find the talking points of the President's Cup tonight. We're going to review the Fortnite Championship, won yet again by Max Homa. We'll throw in some LIV content, maybe just a little tidbit about Bobby Mack, my boy, Bobby Mack. Joining me, Johnny Strouser, big Lions win yesterday. I feel like you're, based on some of your Twitter kind of discussion, I feel like you're heavy on the Dan Campbell train. Is that right?
You know, I think I'm getting kind of loved it. I like what they're doing, and I like the coaching. And after having all these years of having essentially no hope, dating back to you had Bob Quinn, and then before that we had Martin Mayhew, and then we had Matt Millen, and then it was even worse than Matt Millen before that. So I got to have something there. So to be the first NFL franchise to ever defeat the Washington named Commanders in the history of the NFL, I feel pretty good. But that offense, though, that looks, it's fun to watch when they can move the ball. And I know you don't really. Well, I know that's not the strong suit of the Chicago Bears at this moment. But it's cool. It's fun to see them score. They're going to give up 1 million points. The Lions are, but they're going to score a bunch, and I kind of don't mind that right now.
You're not going to be good, at least be entertaining, and I think
yes,
they have a chance to be entertaining. And the offense can move the ball on the ground and through the air, and that's pretty fun to watch. And I think they're going to be kind of frisky. I do agree. My team certainly cannot do a lot of throwing the football, which is it's really not great in today's NFL. We don't really have a lot of professional receivers, unfortunately, and we have a quarterback that I'm still waiting to see that aspect. But I still think we're going to be kind of frisky, but we're going to be really bad. And in the NFL, you got to be either really bad or really good. And so I'm okay with being really bad. As I talked about with Tim in our preview show of the NFL, the Bears have the most projected cap space next year. This is all setting up for next year, hopefully a top 5-6 pick, and 2023 will be the year, hopefully. Anyway, golf, PGA Tour. I texted you. I guess it was Thursday. This was opening round of the Fortnite, opening round of the season, and we kind of glossed over the actual favorite last week's show, Max Homa. I guess because it's shocking to see him be the favorite of a PGA Tour tournament in one way. And B, it just seems like this can't be sustainable, right? That maybe that's kind of our thought as well. And we didn't really talk about it, but maybe that was, winning at this rate seems unsustainable, or it's very like Rory-like, DJ-like, Mickelson, whatever, those guys. But here we are on Thursday, and I saw he was I think he was tied for the lead at the time, and he really just stayed in the mix the whole way. And before we talk about the ridiculous finish, just the thought of Max Homa with his 5th tour win, his 4th win since the start of 2021, which no one's actually had more than that. There's a lot of guys that have had 4. Are we to the point now where we're underrating him, or I don't know, where are we at with Max now?
I guess we're underrating him. I mean, this was a tough bet to bet him as the tournament favorite. I mean, you'd never had been there before pre-tournament, and betting the tournament favorite after he had won the previous year. So Fortinet's one of his sponsors, so he's got the sponsorship obligations, and he's got the I guess the little bit of pressure or whatever, or the thoughts that he did win last year. But so he was real tough to lay any money on this week here. Just like you said, all the signs were pointing towards it probably wasn't the greatest of bets there. But as for Max Homa himself, the golfer, Max Homa is really good. I mean, he's top 20 in the world, I believe now. If he's not, he should be
16th.
16th. I think he's trending. We're just looking, and we talk about it on the show. I think he's a contending in a major or two away from that borderline top 10 thing. But he's a good golfer. He's always been a good golfer. He was the NCAA champion at Cal Berkeley his senior year, so he's always had the game. Back in high school and college, took him forever as far as comparative to some of the elite players, young players now, to get to the tour. But he's comfortable with everything. I think he's comfortable with his game, and he's good. He's just a good player, and for him to start out strong like that, and it'll kind of make a statement that he's the defending champion. He's the betting favorite, and I bet you he fed off of that, and it just looked solid pretty much the whole time, and he hit the ball amazing that Friday and Saturday. Didn't make a ton of putts. Finally got some to drop on Sunday, and just hung in there forever. So I think you look at the win total in itself. That's fantastic. I think he's in that I think that tier 2 of quality players. Being top 20 in the world. Not quite there, but he's knocking on the door that he's just a couple major championship Sunday contentions away from being in that category. Because I think we both said guy can win a major championship. It's just it's just a matter of putting it all together during that week there. But I got nothing but good things to say about him. I've always been a fan. He's always been that cool Twitter follow. He's funny. He's got that good sense of humor and everything. But finally he's realizing, and everybody's realizing how good of an actual player he is, and it has nothing to do with his his Twitter game. It's all that golf game, and he's feeling it.
Yeah, 4 wins and 41 starts is if you don't follow golf that closely, you're like, that sounds pretty good. And it's ridiculous. It's insane. It's like I said, it's just a run that I never when he won his first tournament in 2019, it was shocking because this is a guy, and this is where I don't know how much people know about his past after he came out on tour as a college star. He was struggling in the worst way. I mean, he made 2 cuts out of 17 starts in 2017. He had 3 FedEx Cup points for the season, 3. And it is well told by him how hard and he lost all belief in himself, had to regain status, go through the process, and it was really just a long road back to even that point. Then he gets his first win kind of out of nowhere in 2019 at the Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow, which cool to be going back there this week for him, I'm sure. But then it was that second win at RIV at the beginning of last season, 2021, and I think that was like a validation. Like, not only did it validate that first win, it was a big boy event, big boy tournament. And then they just keep rolling in. And it's like when he gets into contention, he's one of these guys that just wins tournaments. You see a lot of guys get into contention, then they don't win. I don't want to say by name, but Tony Finau, until maybe this year, is just a classic guy. Like, he's going to get in contention once every 3 events, but he's not going to win. And Max, it's like now it's like the trustability of when he's up there. Like, I kind of felt like the whole weekend, I'm like, well, shit, Max going to win. I mean, I don't know how it's going to happen. And then we'll get to that in 1 second. Like, I just think he's going to win. But so impressive to come in as the betting favorite, as the guy, and the defending champ, when usually if you're the defending champ, you have a top 10, top 15. It's like, that's a nice showing, right? As a champ, to come in with those two things and win it's to me, it's almost the most impressive thing that he's done. I mean, if you want to be a naysayer and say like, okay, he's not outside of the Riv win, like his last three wins, not the strongest fields. That's I guess that's fair to say, but it's just hard to win, period, out here. And the fact that he's won 5 times now, and I feel like he's just coming into his own. What's his ceiling? I know we've been down that road. I think he could win a major. I think now he's just established this belief in himself where like he's kind of become a killer. And like you mentioned, there's really no holes in his game. I think his short game for a long time was a concern. As we saw Sunday, I mean, he's shored that up hugely. He has these really nice spike putting weeks that when he putts well, he's in contention. And I think he's total driving. He's as good as anyone. He hits a ton of fairways and hits it far enough. Let's talk about what transpired though on the 72nd hole, because we should be talking about Danny Willett getting his second PGA Tour win. We know what happened at the 2016 Masters. I don't want to say he took it from Spieth, because we know Spieth pretty much gave that one away, but he walked through the door. And he hasn't won since. And really, he was out in the wilderness for a while, right? But he's kind of been back the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And this was, I mean, I don't know what his number was. I bet he was around 80 or 100 to 1 last week. I don't know exactly, but it wasn't necessarily he was expected to contend at Silverado. But so if you weren't watching, the scenario was insane. He's up by 1. Willett is going to the 72nd hole. He has Max hits it green side, but not necessarily green side in 2. He's got like a 40-yard bunker shot. It's a tough bunker shot. Willett's got I think it was like a 50 to 60-yard wedge shot. He sticks it to 5 feet. I mean, at that point, you're like, there's got a lot has to go wrong for him to not win here. Homa misses the green with his bunker shot, so he's got this pretty difficult pitch shot for his 4th, and Willett's got 4. I think it was 3 feet 9 inches for birdie. I mean, I don't know what the live odds were at that point, but it had to be Homa plus 2,500. I would think at least. So Max go. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know if it was a great shot. There's a lot of speed on that chip shot, but it went in the hole. And it went in with conviction. And it was your typical PGA Tour high five, right? Where he almost took the caddy's hand off, and I don't know if they really connected well.
Yeah.
So you're like, holy shit. But still, Danny Willett's got a 4-footer to win the tournament. And from that point on, it was, I think I described to you, I've never seen anything quite like that scenario, where it just seemed like a shoo-in that guy was going to win. And then he 3-putts. I mean, he puts that first putt farther past than his birdie putt, and then he just hits that weak par effort coming back. I mean, just shocking. I mean, you had to feel for Willett, even if you're not a fan. Because we've all been there where we've 3-putted from 4 feet, but we've probably not been there often when it's the 72nd hole of the tournament, when that's you should probably win the tournament, right?
Yeah, I mean, so the chip shot that Homa hit, I mean, it was really hard. Green was elevated, so it was probably waist height to chest height. So you can't put much spin on that shot. It's kind of one of those things that a tour player would either would maybe flop it up there and hope he hits it to 5 feet and has a birdie putt, or he chips it low with the thought of he's going to have probably 7-8 feet, because it's just, you can't spin it like that. So, or if you hit the pin and it caroms a foot away from the hole for a tap in for his bogey, something like that there, but hits a perfect chip shot, hits the dead center of the pin, goes in, which gave him a chance. So Willett had to make that putt to win. If he 2 putts, they go to a playoff. And all he had to do was kind of just breathe on it. But he said, you know what, I'm going to hit a normal putt with good speed. And absolutely just shit the bed right there and hit it, like you said, so far away from the hole there. And at that point, the demons are creeping in and everything like that. So unbelievable though that a tour player wouldn't just two putt from there at worst. And he was the only one that three putted from 5 feet, obviously that whole week out of everybody. But yeah, you feel bad for him. I mean, I think he's a genuinely pretty good dude. I mean, the way he reacted afterwards, by speaking to the press and by, being very forthcoming and everything like that. And after he won the Masters in 2016, he's got a little bit of a drop in his backswing. So he was really, really hitting driver bad and lost a bunch of confidence and he was playing bad golf. I mean, I remember, I think it was 2 years, maybe 3 years, we're looking at 2018, 2019. He couldn't hit a fairway to save his life and was shooting 76, 72, and missing the cut by 5, 6, 7, 8 shots every single week. I mean, he was as bad of a player as you could get, but he had that exemption from winning the Masters that kept him on there for quite a long time there. And he slowly worked his way out, gotten with a new coach, and they've got him working on that as much as possible. And, he's hitting it a lot more consistent, and he's had some decent showings this year. I think he's played okay. I mean, a lot better than before. He's cashing checks, which is, something that he wasn't doing just a couple of years ago. But yeah, you really kind of, it stinks that he didn't win. I mean, we're Max Homa fans, so for us, we're like, hey man, yeah, that's another win. That's number 5, and everything like that. But that's kind of a tough thing. And hopefully though, that something like that, and the way he handled it afterwards, that that he'll keep his tour card, maybe win an event at some point, because you really do kind of feel for it, and it just sucks, and that's just unfortunately the bad end of it. But you said, I think you told me that we probably wouldn't see that out of 100 events. I think you could quintuple that. I mean, that is probably never happen in our lifetime again, where somebody will three putt like that. I mean, you could think that, I mean, there's been a couple major championships in history where there's had, silly little three putts at the end. And I could think of, the US Open with Retief Goosen, who ended up three putting to get in the playoff, and he ended up winning.
That's right. Yeah.
There was a couple others, but yeah, I mean, unbelievable though.
I mean, the three putt coupled with Homa chipping it in is, I mean, normally in those circumstances, you'll see that guy try to chip it in and jam it 12 feet past and make bogey. So just inexplicable in so many ways. I mean, I'm glad Max won, obviously, but I mean, as a golfer, man, you got to feel gutted for Willett, because that is, I mean, you always have that thought where it's supposed to have that match play mentality where you expect you're supposed to expect the guy to make it, right? But you don't really think that's going to happen in that situation where, like, okay, yeah, he's going to chip it in, and then I got to get up there and make the 4-footer down the hill for birdie to win. I mean, I'm sure Willett was already going through his mind, like, it's just human nature to think that was in the bag. So that, I can't get over that. I watched the highlights a few times a day, and I still can't believe it happened. The Fortinet picks for the week. I mean, let's just be honest. Our win bets were just absolute trash. Like, maybe the worst set of win bets we've had for a good year. I know my top guy was Davis Riley. I mean, he was near dead last on Thursday, so that was cool. Did Pendrith make the cut, your pick?
I think he did make the cut, I think.
And I know I had Zach's picks, Cam Davis. I think he missed the cut as well. However, proud to say that I did hit plus 500 Harris English top 20 and plus 550 Taylor Montgomery, who is one of the hottest players in the world right now. I mean,
bombs it and makes putts, man. That guy, yeah, that was a good pick. That was I tailed you on that one. I actually did tail the Harris English pick as well. I think I bet him though top 20 or top 30, but still came out with really good plus money, and both of them were. But yeah, good picks there. That you ended up on the positive there. So, at least there was that.
At least there was that, because which is not normal for me. Normally I'm the strikeout or home run guy where I'll miss all five, but the next week I'll get the winner at plus 5,000 or whatever. So not common for me to hit a top 10 or top 20. I think Zach was in the ballpark with Cooch for most of the week, but I think he fell out there. Tough final round for Coocher. So we'll move on. I don't know what's the event after the President's Cup?
It's the chicken tournament.
Oh, it's Sanderson Farms?
Sanderson Farms in Mississippi there.
Okay, so we'll have a new set of picks then. And we'll talk about the President's Cup, and maybe we'll throw some picks this week for the President's Cup. What else? So so the DP World Tour, I guess got to talk about it a little bit because I didn't see a shot. That's the cool thing, is I didn't see a shot of the Italian Open, and I bet Robert McIntyre, Bobby Mack to win. He gets it down to playoff over Matt Fitzpatrick. I saw he moved into semi-contention Saturday, but he was, I think, 4 shots back, I think in 7th or 8th. And then I woke up Sunday morning and he just had a hot front 9 and he was in the lead. And I was like, man, I guess I'm gonna have to worry about this just a little bit. And still never tuned in. And he luckily got into a playoff with Fitzpatrick and birdied the first playoff hole and wins at plus 5,000. So that's always nice when it's kind of unexpected. And I only made 2 bets on that on the Italian Open. It was him and Eddie Pepperell. So thank you, Bobby Mack.
Yep, nice work there. Yeah, he did shot that 29 on the front 9, and you told me that. So I was watching it at work, and I was like, okay, we got something going on here, and made those 2 bogeys. I was like, yep. Right after you told me he's about to bet, he's done. And
right, that's usually how.
And then he came back, he birdied the next hole, and had a pretty good finish there. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned him last week as future Ryder Cupper, Robert McIntyre, and that this is where, of course, they're playing the Ryder Cup next year.
Yep.
11 birdies in 19 holes, any good for one round. So yeah, he pretty much etched his name into that Ryder Cup team, I would think.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the WWE. LIV Golf for a couple minutes here. By the way, did you watch any of the Chicago event, and have you watched any substantial time in any of the events?
I didn't know that they had an event this week until Twitter showed a few quotes from Arlo or David Faraday regarding, some Saudi violence or something like that could have been tied that way, and the other incident that we'll talk about here shortly. So I know I didn't actually watch it. I did watch some of Pumpkin Ridge. I didn't watch any of Bedminster. I watched a few shots of the Boston event, but it just is. It's not. It's good if you like to watch a decent golf course and you like to see guys, good players hitting shots, but it's too weird to me. It just doesn't feel like a tournament. It just feels like just watching golf, and I guess that's okay for some people, but if it doesn't feel like a competition, and again, I haven't really given it a full fighting chance by watching, 10, 12 holes, something like that of an event. But I didn't know this one was on. I didn't know they were playing so quickly, because that, playing two times in 3 weeks, that's a lot for these guys,
It's true. It's true. I knew they were playing, but I did not really see any of it. I was following. I care more about the lead up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the LIV event than the actual event, because that's where you're going to get the quotes. That's where you're going to get some of the rumors, and I appreciate that more than the actual golf. I watched pretty much the last 10 holes of the Boston event. Again, it's not like it's terrible. I just can't reconcile what it is. Like you mentioned, it just feels like a lot of golf shots coming at you. You're kind of confused because you're like, I don't know what hole this guy's finishing on. Is that a par 3? Oh, that guy's on a par 5. It's just really hard to reconcile that. And now I feel like Boston and then now Chicago, it almost feels like they're promoting like more of a party with everything they're doing than an actual golf tournament. And I think that goes along. It kind of goes into the whole sports washing thing, right? Like
Mhm.
they're the golf is secondary, and that's what we've been trying to say the whole time is that these guys really don't give a shit about the actual golf product. They are pushing this because they are trying to promote their brand to increase business partners in the future, to normalize Saudi. But the golf is just it's the vehicle to do that with. So there's a lot that goes along with that. I saw a lot of Greg Norman discussion with was it him that mentioned that the top two players in the world right now are on LIV, Cam Smith and Dustin Johnson.
Yeah.
Which who knows, he could be right.
Yeah.
But we'll never know. I mean, Cam Smith has chosen his path that he wants to compete against Chase Koepka and Peter Uihlein, two guys that finished in the top 10 of this tournament that can't. Chase Koepka has never had full status on the PGA Tour. Peter Uihlein is your classic yo-yo guy, Corn Ferry, go back to the tour, can never gain full status. It's that piece where I'm like, that's why I'm disappointed in a guy like Cam Smith, where he's choosing this path to compete against guys like that. And sure, there's a handful of really good players. DJ is a great player. Joaquin Niemann is on that path. I really don't know outside of that. Like, Bryson and Brooks, they seem to be a reduced version of what they used to be. So I'm just disappointed that path has been chosen by arguably the best player in the world this year, Cam Smith. Beating Peter Uihlein in an event like this doesn't show me anything. It does nothing for me, because it's just it feels like the WWE. It's just fake, right?
Yeah, I think I think everything you said was spot on. I mean, I think I'm part of a national Facebook golf forum, basically a discussion forum, and there's been a lot of those guys on there who have gone to either of the two LIV events here recently, and they talk about, oh man, it's so much more fun. They got music, and they got cheap tickets, and they got a dog that walks all over the place, and they're gonna have beer carts soon, and it's just like, okay. I mean, but yeah, you're right. Is they're doing exactly what they want to be doing, and they're doing it well, because the people who are fascinated with it, they're falling for it because of all that, and they create this victim card in the media and on their social medias and all that stuff, that the big bad PGA Tour, with all their money and all that stuff, is the ones that aren't allowing these other players to play and whatnot there. But yeah, as for the actual golf, which is kind of what we're most concerned with, is, yeah, I mean, Cam Smith, that's cool. Yeah, he's probably best player in the world right now. I have no doubt that he's, if you had to rank Scheffler or Cam Smith, I would take Cam Smith in any tournament, right now, and that's fine. But yeah, when they're playing these miniature events here, and it's just different, and the shotgun starts are weird. Like, you and I, oftentimes when we're watching on Sundays, we'll discuss, like, if a player's like 2 or 3 shots ahead, or 2 or 3 holes ahead on a PGA event, you'll be like, he still has 2 par 5s, or he still has the short par 4 left, and he's got these, this sequence of holes, because we're trying to plan out what holes he can birdie or what holes he's going to struggle on. You really can't do that with this thing, because it's just like, well, I know there's 8 holes to go, but he's on 4, so let me think about 5 through 10 here, and it's just a whole weird thing here. So I agree that as far as the quality of play, you're getting 48-man fields. I mean, that's just it's so weak, especially when 35 of them I have no chance to win a tournament. I mean, Peter Uihlein probably just careered it for a couple of days there, and shot some ridiculously low scores being buried somewhere in the coverage and was probably never shown and everything like that. So, it's just it's doing what they need to be doing, but at some point you got to figure it out. It's like this is not the intent to display good golf. They're using Norman for that because Norman's a successful business guy and he's got ideas and he's always hated the PGA Tour with a passion. So anything that he's got those things that he's coming up with that are innovative and everything like that, and they play that game where they just make it look like that the PGA Tour is the bad one here. And I've seen people I know and people I don't know talk about how terrible and how awful the PGA Tour and how Rory McIlroy is and all this stuff, and it's like, seriously, good God, this is just it just I just sit there and just think, what the hell?
Yeah, it's like, first of all, we've been doing this podcast for almost 2 years, a lot of golf shows. We have given a fair amount of criticism toward the PGA Tour for things that they do. We have said there's too many events on the schedule. There's oversaturation. Yeah, do we still come in and talk about the Sanderson Farms? Yeah, probably. Yeah, we like to still watch and bet on it. Would I miss it if it's gone? No, absolutely not. But there's been a lot of fair criticisms about the PGA Tour that we've given. It's not a perfect product. I think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get a lot better after this season. Was a lot of that driven by the arrival of LIV? For sure. They were not proactive. They were reactive. But a lot of this is misinformation. Like, where did all the money come from? Maybe Mickelson was right, maybe partially, but I think they're missing the point that there was a huge influx of dollars from the TV contracts, and that's where a lot of this money has come from. That's going to be part of the new rollout with the elevated events going forward in 2023. But my point is has there been a lot of good things that LIV has done? I think so. It's way farther along than I think we both thought it would be at this point, for sure. Have they gotten top players? Yep, they've gotten names. They've gotten, maybe big names past their prime, but some current big names, and that's good on them. I just don't know what I'm doing when I'm watching it. I feel like you mentioned, I'm watching a pool of like 8 guys that I could actually win, and either beating such a reduced field of past their prime players or true guys that will never be able to compete. I can't reconcile it. Now, some of the things that I think are good, like the team aspect, is interesting. I don't know how the fuck it works though. I really don't. I have no idea how the team aspect works. Like, I tune in, I see the 4 aces. They're the new Chicago Bulls, and according to Arlo White, or I don't know who said that.
That was him.
But I'm like, cool. I don't know how the 4 aces are winning every week because I see this week Taylor Gooch finished 35th, Pat Perez finished 31st. I don't know where Pat Reed was, but like I don't understand how that works. I think the team aspect is probably the most interesting part of it, especially in the future as maybe there's sponsors tied to it and it becomes a true franchise with, as DJ and owner of the 4 aces. There's some aspect of that could be interesting, but I don't know what it would look like in the future. So I just want to be fair, come out and say that I feel like the criticism, you try to see both sides of it. We try to do that with the PGA Tour, but there's just not a lot of good stuff if you actually sit down and watch LIV golf.
Yeah, I think you're, the PGA Tour is not totally innocent in this, and whether they're coming up with money for the TV from the TV, deals and everything like that, that's they were sitting on cash, and of course they are. All these sports leagues are. So they've all got it, but they've never had a true rival. There's never been a reason. Think about any business that doesn't really have a rival, like just a factory in a town or something like that. They could pay their employees X amount because it's take it or leave it. They can't, if there's no other option to work anywhere. But I mean, if you add something, some competition to it, then it's going to make a little bit of a difference here. Truth be told, I think having the $500,000 minimum and having that kind of these elevated events, maybe shortening the schedule a little bit with these smaller events and everything. This is stuff they should have done all along. And you're right, they're very, very reactive. And that's Jay Monahan. I mean, if this doesn't work, I'm surprised that if, at the end of the season that they weren't considering getting rid of him anyways, because he just got boat raced by Greg Norman. I mean, Greg Norman was like, "Yeah, we're going to keep going on here," and he was just like, "Nope, it's not going to happen." And Monahan was dead wrong and almost lost quite a bit there. But I think Tiger bringing in the group of guys from in the playoff event, I think that really added to it and saved it and everything like that. So the LIV stuff, I think, is cool in a lot of aspects, like you said. And maybe we'll see some of that on the PGA Tour, but yeah, without the competition, without any chief rival, just like what Phil Mickelson has said. I mean, he's like, the PGA Tour guys should be thanking us. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's totally wrong there. I think a lot of it is, TV rights driven, but they could sit on this cash like they probably have been for since the Tiger era started. So.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how this goes. If they poach any more players, I think Norman's talked about kind of being set and everything like that and whatnot. But it'll be interesting to see because LIV is going to continue to do whatever it wants to because they'll give them unlimited money to do it. So they'll come up with different ways to make it fun and make it appear fun for the players and for the for the spectators. But I think the TV deal is something that they need to make it a little bit more organized first and to have the flow of the event be considerably better. Otherwise, it's just unwatchable.
Well, speaking of unwatchable, it was I saw, was it 75,000 people? Or no, I think it was like 45,000 people tuned in the final day on the YouTube feed. And then I was thinking about that. I'm like, what's a college football stadium that holds about 45,000 people? Well, IU football, they do have a program. I don't know how many people attended Saturday's game when they played against Western Kentucky. I imagine it was probably somewhere around 40 to 45,000. So all the people in that stadium, that's what we're talking about. I mean, worldwide viewed LIV golf. No one is watching this, and I saw that the numbers have been decreasing. Basically, the last three events, the feeds have been. I know that there's some discussion about. I mean, according to Greg Norman, they're in discussion with 3 or 4 networks. I don't know who that would be. The only one I can think of is Fox, right? So I don't know where this goes with if they don't have a TV deal in 23, if they just continue on YouTube and their website. And, but yeah, there's so many tentacles to this, and I feel like we are so early in the LIV golf thing. Like there's so much long term that we don't know where this is going to go. I think the most important domino still is world golf ranking points. If these guys aren't ever going to get any, like I really think that's going to affect how a lot of these guys that might be on the fence that are currently playing on the PGA Tour. I mean, if you can't play in the majors, I think that really matters quite a bit. Anyways, we could go on and on about this, and I think we still need to have probably the definitive PGA Tour versus LIV Golf podcast. I might be in the works on that one, maybe with our friend Zach Lear. I'm not sure yet. But let's move on to the President's Cup this week down Quail Hollow. It's definitely been like the ugly stepbrother, the little brother of the Ryder Cup. This year, it's on paper, it's as big a mismatch as you'll see. In fact, I was trying to figure out how large of a mismatch it is. The U.S. is favored substantially, -700 to win the President's Cup. That equates to about a 17-point favorite in the NFL. a 17-point favorite in the NFL is a massive, massive number. So I can't even equate how large of a favorite the U.S. is this week against the international team. In fact, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago we were talking when a lot of the LIV rumors were going on with guys like Cam Smith, Joaquin Neiman. The number was at minus, I think, around minus 300, and I said I think that's a steal because we knew Cam Smith was going. I'm kind of upset with myself. I didn't jump on it at the time. What are your expectations this week? Are you interested at all? If so, what is your angle to watch? Because this certainly looks like a blowout in the making.
I'm interested to watch because it's team golf. I will say that. I'm trying to
Well, you got
think.
LIV. I mean, you haven't watched LIV. That's team golf.
That's true. The Niblix could pull the upset, or
Over the
something.
dynasty that is the Four Aces.
The Bulls. Jesus Christ. We didn't even talk about the Bryson thing.
Oh, I forgot. Have you ever
Yeah,
have you ever run into a clothesline by a rope?
I have actually. Yeah, I didn't react like that though. I just kind of,
Jesus Christ.
jarred me, and I just pulled the rope over and moved on with my fucking life.
That was amazing.
That was so good. Go to Twitter and just, search it. I know PFT commenter retweeted it because I hate Bryson. Just Amanda Rose, I think, posted it from a weird angle. It's just, please, just.
It's the most ridiculous thing you've seen.
It is. It is so. It is on brand for Bryson.
It's like he got sniped. Is how he reacted.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Saudi league, but it's a rope. But anyways.
Okay, proceed. You're interested in team golf? Yes.
I'm interested because it's just it is the team golf. It's not the Ryder Cup. It'll never will be the Ryder Cup. But can it ever be that way? I don't know. But I'm trying to envision. I always try to think of these events here. Is there any way that the U.S. team can lose at this point? I did that when they played Whistling Straits. You were dead set like U.S. is gonna just boat race them, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, because you get these assholes like Tyrrell Hatton and Victor Hovland will go 5-0, and the Spanish Armada of Sergio and Rahm will go 5-0. Just stupid stuff like that, like what what's happened in the early 2000s. But does this team? Just looking at it front to top to bottom here. They're not that good. Could they have a chance come Sunday? I can't see it. But I thought that Royal Melbourne, when Tiger was the captain a couple of years ago, that it was going to be kind of a blowout, and they had to come back to win on the last day, didn't they? So there is that, but this is on U.S. soil. Home games in these team competitions make such a huge difference. We talked about it last week, actually. Last time the U.S. won the Ryder Cup away was 100 years ago, it seems like. So, but this team, losing Smith, losing Leishman, and the continuity of the team. There's always a lot of volatility on that international team because you get guys that pop up and play good for a couple of years and end up making the team. And they have different speak different languages, and they're just different people, and they don't probably normally play together too much. But there's some good players. We can bet it. We just got to figure out how we're going to bet it here to come out profitable, because minus 700, we're not going to lay money. Yeah, that's just senseless stuff. But I don't know. Are you going to watch it? We got a full slate of college football Saturday and NFL on Sunday. Is it worth tuning in?
Yeah. So first of all, I always forget that it's 4 days.
4 days.
I always forget that, and I always forget compared to the Ryder Cup, where there's 4 sessions or 4 matches in a session. There's 5 matches in a session, so there's just a ton of points available compared to the Ryder Cup. So absolutely, Thursday and Friday I'll be tuned in. On the weekend, I'll probably have it on my laptop while I have football on. That's what I usually do with the Ryder Cup. Or if it's a truly great Ryder Cup, then it might be main TV status. But I'll follow on my laptop for sure, because like you, I'm still interested in team golf. I'm interested in the individual performances, especially from the U.S. side as it relates to whether it's a Sam Burns making his first team event, and how it relates to next year's Ryder Cup. I'm really interested, because this group, to me, it's the same group that's going to be competing in Italy next year, trying to win the first road Ryder Cup in 30 years. So to me, it's an investment into next year's team. I love the team events. I like to see the partnerships that our guy Davis Love's going to come up with, and his like 8th captaincy between all the teams. Which, by the way, I've already figured out the partnerships that they should go with the whole week, and there's just really no reason to divert whether it's best ball or alternate shot. I mean, here's the 6 partnerships, and want to see if you agree or not for the U.S. I mean, and some of these are just no brainers. Spieth and JT, Xander and Cantley,
Yep.
Burns and Scheffler. I mean, those 3 are like kind of automatic, right?
Yeah.
Cam Young and Tony Finau.
Ooh,
great, just unbelievable length, ball striking. Morikawa and Homa, the Cal guys, and Horschel and Kisner. I mean, that's
I actually like that Horschel Kisner team.
Right, they're just going to battle. They're just going to battle.
Oh,
right?
I think they could be just so annoying to play. I think Horschel with anybody could be annoying to play. I think Horschel's going to be that guy this week. I just hope those are pretty well set. I know Davis will switch them up a little bit, but no, I mean that's just kind of what you got to go with. I think.
Quail Hollow is, I mean, it is an immense home course advantage for the U.S. I mean, it not only is the talent gap massive, the course fit is just unbelievable for the U.S. team. I mean, is it a good fit for guys like Cam Davis and Taylor Pendrith? Absolutely, but it's not going to matter. It just won't matter at all. So we both agree the U.S. is probably going to win this going away. What are some of the prop bets or other types of bets you're looking at this week that might interest you? It gives you obviously a better number, or something of that nature.
Well, I think you've got, looking at the tournament correct score. That's really hard because there's half points, and now that we've got 30 points to work with here, which is more than what the Ryder Cup is. It's a lot harder to pick. However, I think that could be a fun one, because looking at it, plus 850 is the shortest number as far as numbers that you can pick there. So I think there's pretty good numbers. You could throw a few bets out there and still come out on the positive. And I'll be looking at something like, I think it's going to be like 19 to 11. That's plus 900, 18.5 to 11.5 at plus 1,000. You could go at them getting boat raced at 23 or more.
Jesus.
At plus 1,200. I don't think it's going to be that. I really don't. I mean, I think though the U.S. is going to win by 6 or 7 at least. It's a little bit tough to determine. I mean, they're all going to go hard on Sunday, but how hard they go on Sunday, like let's say it's just an absolute, wash. I'm sure there could be some motivation for the international team to play a little bit better and everything like that. But I'm going to look at something like that. I'm going to throw a couple bets on that. I'm liking something, like I said, 19, 11, 18.5, 11.5, something like that. One thing I really wish, and we'll have that probably on our best bets, is I like the golfer props when they do the over under points. There's some guys I like to play. I don't think any of the U.S. guys are going to play 5 matches. I think you got to look at the international team, like a Sungjae Im or maybe Adam Scott. to play in 5 matches, and you could look at if they're like 1.5 points over under, I'd be looking at them to be on the over, because maybe they could get 2 points, something like that.
Mhm.
So a couple of those guys. The U.S. team's going to be a little bit tougher. There's a couple more matches per, so it's not totally going to be where you're going to see them in only 3 matches. I mean, there's going to be some that's 4. So guys I like to score a lot of points are going to be Scotty Scheffler, obviously. So you look at that. You can look at, of course, my computer's frozen. Who are some of the guys, though, I got to go to my phone here. Who are some of the guys you like, though, that could earn a lot of points?
Well, I want to talk about your point that you say you don't think any American will play 5 matches. But statistically, someone has to, right? Because only 2 will sit out Thursday, 2 will sit
Oh,
out
that's right.
Friday, 2 will sit out Saturday.
Yeah, there's going to be some guys. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because, well, yeah.
Well, you get 2, 4, and there's 36 holes on Saturday, though.
That's what it is. Okay.
There's 1 round Thursday, 1 round Friday, 2 on Saturday, and then singles on Sunday. So there's
Okay.
5 sessions.
Jesus Christ, you would think we would know like the format at this point, but
so total 8 golfers will sit throughout the course of the first 4 days. So yeah, four guys will have to play 5 matches.
Okay. See, it is difficult to figure out how the pairings will fall out, and if someone's really hot, or they're just going to ride them the whole week until they get to singles. I don't know, but yeah, just looking at the numbers, so like top point scorer, I always look at JT in team matches. He really gets up for it. He really loves it. He loves being the focal point. He's fiery. He's sort of become the emotional leader of the U.S. team, the heart of the team. So at plus 900, he's behind Scheffler, Xander, and Cantlay. I kind of like his number as a longer shot on the U.S. team. I just love Cam Young's game for this golf course. It just feels like an absolutely perfect fit. He's double the number of JT at plus 1,800. So this is top point scorer overall for both teams. So I like them. If you wanted to look at the top scorer for the international team, I mentioned Taylor Pendrith before, that I think he's a great fit. He's been playing really, really good golf coming in here. So just for the international team itself, he's at plus 1,200. I mean, I think he's 8th on the board of the international team. I think that's pretty good value on him. So I like that play there. That's a couple that I like. Outside of that, I do like your strategy of making 3 correct score picks. I like that 18 to 12, 19 to 11 range. They could get to 20 to 10, something like that. The one that I just saw before we went live that really surprised me was the tournament lines for singles on Sunday. For the U.S. to win singles, it's at minus 225. That's still pretty short. You got to lay 225 to win 100. I don't know. Maybe that could be a parlay piece with a heavy favorite in an NFL game. Maybe parlay it with the Bears to beat the Texans on Sunday, and you got a good number there. But that seems surprising to me because I just that the U.S. always performs really, really well in singles, even in the Ryder Cup historically when they've played kind of shitty. The singles that they've always done well. I can't see a path for the internationals winning that final day. So I like the U.S. there as well. What else?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna ride, and I don't love the odds, but as the top point scorer, I like the Schauffele Cantlay team. I think they're just they're just so good together, and they wear you down, and I could see them playing in all the matches there. So those guys at plus 700 and plus 750, I think have a pretty good chance there. I'm not gonna, as far as like top point scorer overall. I'm not gonna obviously pick um, a international team. One guy I do want to mention that I'm gonna fade, or I'm not gonna really bet at all, is Hideki Matsuyama. Dude's battling injuries. He played in the event this last week here in California, but I've heard that he's got wrist and possible back issues. So I just can't imagine him, playing that well or playing that much. And you just look at, does he, doesn't have a countryman that he's, that's on the team with him. So there could be some awkwardness there as far as finding the right kind of partner for him there. But one interesting one is for the rookies. Well, first of all, it's weird to see Morikawa as a rookie on that. It's just very, very odd. I do like Sam Burns, because I think he's gonna have that good pairing, and I think, there's a lot of really good pairings here, but I just think that he's got such a good game for match play that I think he'll really kind of ball out, because I think he wants to be on the Ryder Cup team, and this is when these guys got to show up here, is to show show Zach Johnson that they can play on the under the spotlight there in match play and everything, and he hits it well. His iron game's improving, and he's a good putter. So he's a guy I like there. So top debutant at plus 500, I think, is a pretty good number on him.
Isn't that debutante?
I don't know. Wouldn't it be debutante?
I think it's debutante.
I've never heard that word before. I think I've seen it, but sure. Okay. He's the top debutante.
There you go. I kind of forgot Zach Johnson was a Ryder Cup captain until you just mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
He's the assistant captain this week,
and Webb Simpson's an assistant captain this week.
Member here, so I see that, and I think he's going to be a future. I think he's going to be a future President's Cup or Ryder Cup captain.
Yeah, like I said,
I think we're looking a ways away, but
No, as I said, when they announced Zach Johnson, or not Zach Johnson, Davis Love as the President's Cup captain, I was so pissed. I'm like, what a waste! Like throw Webb in there now. Who cares? It should have been Matt Kuchar for the President's Cup.
It should. I think Matt Kuchar. Yeah, I think if and when he gets named to be a future captain, I think that will be a good pick. And he deserves it. I know he hasn't won a major championship, and they tend to want to stick to that, as their preferences and everything like that. But I think Matt Kuchar would be a fantastic one, and absolutely deserves it, because he's been on the bad Ryder Cup teams, and he's he kind of had to deal with those garbage teams that would always lose to the European teams, and he was always pretty solid, and from what it sounds like, he sounds like he's a good dude. They say he's pretty funny and stuff. So
yeah, he's a shitty tipper, but yeah, good dude though.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. There was one other thing with some of the bets here. Any interest in the hole-in-one at plus 550 for a hole-in-one this week, or if you predict what team has a hole-in-one? U.S. at a plus 1,000 for a hole-in-one, and internationals at plus 1,200. I kind of think hole-in-one's going to happen this week.
I think it's a good bet. I'm trying to think of the par threes. I know they're a couple of them are brutal.
I can only remember 17. Yeah.
Which by the way, I don't know if you know this, or I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost positive that the Green Mile, which is 16, 17, 18, really, really, really hard holes, including one of those par threes. They've actually rerouted the golf course. That's going to be, I think, 13, 14, and 15.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, because they want that part, an integral part of just about every single match. So they moved that one. They've routed it slightly different, and they're moving those up to be included, which should be in just about every single match, which is going to be nice, because it's such a hard stretch of golf there that I think that'll be pretty interesting to see them play all the time there. So, but
Yeah.
but anyways, plus 550 for a hole in one. I think that's a good bet, and it could be the European, or I'm sorry, not European, the internationals.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think at some point, I'm not familiar with par threes other than traditionally the 17th hole, but you would think at some point they're going to find like a funnel pin,
Yeah.
for just, it's exciting, for some interest, these things are, set up by the home team. I could see Davis Love doing that. He got hammered. He got hammered in 2016 by Justin Rose
when he put all those middle pins at Hazeltine.
At Hazeltine, yeah. Fucking pro-am is what he set it up as. So see if that happens this week.
I mean, in Justin Rose's defense, it was, but they just didn't make enough birdies.
I was gonna say they played the same golf course though.
I mean, you remember that? Just going digressing here. I think Mickelson played Sergio, and Mickelson shot like 63 and lost or 64 and lost by like one down or something like that in the match. It was fun though.
Yeah, it was one of the better Ryder Cup matches. I mean,
yeah, that was a fun Sunday.
Yeah. All right, President's Cup this week in Quail Hollow. We'll break it down next week, and hopefully there's some good content. If nothing else, we can talk about. Johnny, thanks again as always. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks, and don't hit any ropes. As you're walking out of the room.
Got to watch those gallery ropes, everyone. We'll get some President's Cups best bets up this week, and see what happens there this week. See if it's a 20-10 thrashing by the U.S. Who knows? That might be a best bet specifically. Thanks for listening to the podcast. As always, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and our YouTube channel as well. We will catch you next time.